All right. Are you ready for breaking news? This was happening just as we were kind of putting things together this afternoon. Karen Reed never fails to deliver. Tell us what happened today.
Well, remember that motion, the Daubert motion. I keep saying Daubert because as I was watching you and Bob Bianchi when I was gone, all you kept saying was like Daubert,
I'm going
Daubert,
to go with
Daubert.
what's it called? What's the Massachusetts
Lanigan.
Lanigan? Yeah, I'll go with
Right,
Lanigan.
Lanigan hearing. The Daubert, well, they actually call Massachusetts Daubert Lanigan because it's kind of a mixed
Yes,
thing.
it's like Kelly Fry in
All right.
California. I got
Right,
you.
yeah,
Okay.
Commonwealth versus Lanigan. I will even give you the site, 419 Massachusetts, 15, 1994. Okay, Judge Beverly Cannoni actually came down with her memorandum of decision. I have it right here. An
Oh
order of
yeah.
Commonwealth's motion to exclude the testimony of Dr. Marie Russell. Remember, how many days did we go through a hearing by the new prosecutor, new special prosecutor, Mr. Brennan, on whether or not she could testify when she'd already testified in trial number one of Karen Reed? All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I thought I was. I don't know what I thought, but it was
Hmm.
like deja vu. Okay, or
It's
is it verve, or is it
the,
deja, or
I
whatever?
don't know anybody, I mean, serious attorney type that would think that was anything close. See, this is the end of page one. This is the conclusion of Bev. Although a close question, the court will deny the Commonwealth's motion. Oh, it's close. It was a squeaker. I mean, there's nobody that was saying, "Oh, she should be excluded." The cross examination by our new friend, Mr. Brennan, was perfect for cross examination during a trial, but didn't go so far in terms of trying to just get her excluded. As we said, and Bob was on while you were in Harvard,
Harvard,
and
pardon my
we
con,
just kept
Harvard
pounding
guy.
away. Weight of the evidence, not admissibility. Weight of the evidence, not admissibility. So this is not a surprise, but I think it is interesting to go through how the judge kind of pandered to the prosecution. Before we do that, let's take a trip down the memory lane here, because if those
Okay.
folks can't remember Mr. Brennan, he's the new guy, right? This is the guy that has been brought in. He's technically, I guess, a hired gun, since they're paying him, what is it, 75 grand, I think it is,
Well,
for
he did represent Whitey Bulger. I mean, he is a good
oh yeah,
attorney.
he's
He
legit.
does have
He's an attorney. Doesn't mean we have to like him. So let's see if I've got a little bit of him in action here. Here we go. This is Mr. Hank Brennan, the new prosecutor in the Karen Reed case.
You use the word likely. The word possibly is even less certain than likely, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, when you're a doctor and you look at something, you say, well, the likelihood is this is the cause of this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That would be a stronger opinion than saying it's possibly this.
Correct.
Possible is even less certain, isn't it? At trial, when you were asked about the cause of the injuries, I'm going to quote you, and I can show you if you'd like. It's the trial transcript, page 19, line 21. What you said is, I believe that these injuries were sustained by an animal, possibly a large dog, because of the patent injuries.
Yes,
Is that your testimony?
yes.
Very different. I'll just finish if I could. Very different than what you're opining today at this hearing.
I'm sorry that you think it is, and I
Check out
I
this
can
body
understand
language
how
coming.
you believe it is, but it's not. It's not different to me. I believed it was a dog. I was convinced it was a dog then, but going by the no 100% in medicine, I didn't say that. I am still convinced it's a dog. The one thing that's a little different is that it's an attack.
Yeah, go ahead.
After counting the series of wounds and whatever, I am convinced not only was it a dog, striking once or twice, but it was actually multiple strikes by that dog.
Aha! So take that, Mr. Brennan. So again, we're going to have much more of him, of course, as this case continues to unfold. April 1st, the new trial date. But before we move on, let's just talk about Bev's. I
Well,
don't
Judge
know what.
Canoni is actually, she's going to be in the third week of Harvard, by the way. She's one of the judges on the third week of
Yes,
the Harvard trial. I was, of course, obviously our paths didn't cross. But as
that's
you know,
by
I, try-
association, I think.
I I tried a Lanigan hearing. Well, actually, I didn't ask for that kind of Lanigan hearing. When I was doing Hernandez, I asked for it, but I said I wanted no witnesses. I wanted a decision just on the papers we submitted. And that had to do with firearms or tool mark identification. People call it ballistics, but it's not ballistics. And the reason why I'm going to explain this, it'll become clear. It's kind of like soon. Ballistics is the path of the bullet, right? And the path of something in the air, the path of bullets. Tool mark firearms identification has to do with the markings that are left on the case of the cartridge or the bullet after the gun is fired, right? Or after a gun is fired. And you compare them through a microscope, and then somebody comes with their opinion, and that opinion is based on their judgment, okay? And that's and so we asked for a Dahlberg Lanigan ruling, and the judge said, well, everything you submitted is great, but the Supreme Court, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, is Supreme Court, what they call Supreme Court, recognizes ballistics, even though they called it wrong, and you can cross-examine. Okay, in Hernandez case, and which we did. And I say that because I'd like to go to the last page of the ruling, where she gives the reasons. Michael, could you talk about?
And there it is. So again, this is the last page, right? We've already heard the ruling, which I appreciate they put up front, and then she goes into the law. Fine, I get all that. In so ruling, the court recognizes that on cross-examination, the Commonwealth demonstrated, among other things, that Dr. Russell's expertise primarily concerns the treatment, not the identification of dog bites, that her evaluation of the abrasions failed to consider available information, that she had not compared the abrasions with the dentition of the shepherd in question, poor Chloe, and that her opinion is inconsistent with findings.
Right on cue, Domino barked.
Domino's standing up for Chloe, apparently. However, the court concluded these issues go to the weight of Dr. Russell's testimony, not its admissibility, and can be addressed during cross-examination. Yes, we know that. So all of those little elements that the judge mentioned there about her failure to identify the dentition, the dog in question, unnecessary, totally unnecessary, but given, in my opinion, so the prosecution can feel like, good boy, you're losing this fight, but good boy. Good try.
Well, let's go through it. A forensic odontology, a fancy word, forensic odontologist, fancy word, forensic dentist, has been up in the air for about 30 years now. And the courts have come back down on the fact that forensic odontology, which is it can be several-fold, but the part where you identify a specific human bite, and we're talking about bites here. That's where this is where this Dahlberg hearing is basically coming from. A human bite to a specific person is not valid forensic science. There's a whole government report on it. There are cases all over. There's wrongful incarceration cases. There are Commonwealth. There are Supreme Court cases on it. That it is not a valid science. So for the judge to say that you didn't identify the bite, right, of the German Shepherd in question,
specific dog, yes,
to the specific dog to this arm is ridiculous. Okay, and I'm jumping up and down because if you can't do it in humans, you can't do it in dogs, right? Especially, and the same thing applies. Well, human skin is pliable; it moves. Okay, my arm is somewhere around there, but it moves. Okay, if Domino bit me, right, your dog bit me, it would move, but the 1 inch or quarter inch may not be the same. When people get older, their dentition changes, like a dog, 7-year-old or 6-year-old dog versus 9-year-old dog, a 10-year-old dog. The dentition changes, the teeth move. You've had older dogs. I've had dogs with their teeth removed. Their bite later in life is not the same bite, right? I mean, to now say that somehow the comparison of the dentition of a bite mark of Chloe years later can be used forensically as valid forensic science with error rates and all that is bullshit. Okay, it's simple as that. I mean, not that I get excited about this area of forensic science.
So how do you feel, really?
So how do I really feel?
This particular expert we knew was going to come in. We get that. I do think she's got some issues, and I think on cross-examination those should be explored. But when this guy, when Brendan starts talking about, did you know we went and saw the dog? Did you know? Because I believe it's in, I guess it's in Vermont somewhere. We went and we made a mold of the dog's mouth, right?
Right.
Now that's not going to come into trial. There's been no. Was the defense there when they did that?
Right.
They shared any of this with the defense? That is not coming in. So I don't even know if it's true. It sounds like Brennan was just trying to do that to mess around with this doctor who is more doctor than expert, if you know what I mean by that, right? She's not.
Yeah, doctor is right. She's not trained to go into court and take the
Right.
whipping that you give an expert in
Exactly.
court.
So
Right?
he probably sensed, like he's in for the kill now because this animal is a little wounded. I'm going in. So this whole, I got a mold of Chloe's mouth is ridiculous. And then he was talking about, what about these bite distances? That bite for those two teeth, that stays the same distance all the time. Well, no, unless you just stand there and don't hold your arm. What if I turn my arm? What if the dog's head turns? Then that space shifts and narrows. So
it's ridiculous, and for that
it is.
reason, that's why the forensic odontology. Yes, can you identify teeth? Somebody is in a plane crash. You take the teeth, and the forensic odontologist can look at the X-rays and say, yes, these are the teeth of the same person that was in the plane crash. That's valid science, okay, over and over. This is not for humans and dogs. I can't imagine a study dealing with bite marks for dogs that has an error rate. And you're right. She's, when you come into, here's another thing that drove me crazy. It was like that her opinion is inconsistent with the findings. There was no canine DNA. Okay, we'll talk about it in a second. But she doesn't, you come in and you have to say, usually she has somebody who has a dog bite, right? And you look at it, or you can tell. But you have to have a diagnosis to treat, right? You're not just going to say, okay, I'm going to you, Michael Bryan. You now have a degree. You're now a doctor and you specialize in cancer treatments. And I go to you and I say, I think you have cancer. And you say, well, let me look over here. Well, yeah, I'm going to treat you for cancer because you may have some abrasions on your arm or something. The whole thing is like driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy here. And the DNA, I mean, we don't know what happened to that body in terms of, so what, there wasn't dog DNA. How do you know there wasn't dog DNA? The body was in the snow. It was swabbed later after it'd been in the hospital. How do you know this? Did you take
how horrible the investigation was? So horrible. Maybe they didn't have enough solo cups, the red solo cups around to collect what they needed to determine whether it was DNA in the bite wound itself. So yeah, if you're going to rely on what they didn't find, you're doomed, because there's a lot of stuff they could have found and didn't find, and did a horrible job in the investigation, as we so well know. So
yeah, and her, you know what this is to me? This is attacking her now to say, do you really want to come back and be subject to my cross-examination for, let's see, that was 2 days, for 4 days or 3 days? Because I'm going to come at you even harder. This was, to me, a legal, not threat. Threat's not the right word, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to you. Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to subject yourself? This was a warning shot. That's what this was, in my opinion, as a trial lawyer. But
so it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, she wanted to get involved. Remember, that was a little bit of a surprise to me. I wasn't aware that she picked up the phone and called the defense and said, I know a little bit about this case. I think I can help you, which is not the way normal experts are acquired or retained for a case. So I think she's in. She may be steeled. This may have helped her as much as it helped the defense learning what the prosecution is going to be focusing on, because now she knows. Now she's been through it. So even if it's worse, she's got a sense. She can't be a sideswiped now, blindsided with this new.
Or her attorneys have a sense.
Everybody.
I mean, when Domino was a puppy and he jumped up on you, right? And his claws would scratch. I mean, we all, even the regular jury knows when you see something, you look like, well, those look like animal claw marks. Or a forensic anthropologist, I was thinking about this as we were getting ready for a show. Forensic anthropologists, they deal with like bones all the time that come in, right? And they'll see marks on the bones, right? And they'll say, well, that's animal activity. That's an animal bite. That's an animal clawing. They may not be able to say what kind of animal it is, but they can say that. So this whole idea that you can't identify. Now, I'm not saying she's right or wrong. I don't know.
No,
all right.
That's not the issue at this point. That's not the issue
at this point. Right.
Yeah.
But here we are.
So get ready. The fun continues. I know the end of this month, more arguments in a Lanigan hearing, and this has to do with the alleged new information coming from the digital equipment in the SUV, in that Lexus SUV. So that's coming up. I think it's on the 27th.
Oh, that's so fun.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm getting my sleep
wait
ready.
till Mr. Brennan, sinks his teeth, so to speak, into that new stuff. So, who knows? Maybe we'll wander up there and check it out. We'll see. Oh, but I mean, not because we have a press pass or anything, right? Yeah, that
Oh,
isn't
that's
gonna
right.
happen.
We don't have a press pass because
that's
they wouldn't give
right.
it to us. Unlike New York City, which would give us one for 100 Center Street. Has anyone ever heard about 100 Center Street? Or Florida, you would give us
Well,
a press pass
here,
because they don't recognize
they had good
what
reason. We do not accept YouTube. There it is,
as a
right there.
news media
Yeah,
organization. Well, we're
it's
going
like
to
we
be
all go.
reporting on it.
We all go to one place. We all go to YouTube, and then we start working there during the day. We do a 9 to 5 at this company called YouTube. Okay, all right.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, you cannot make this up.